Oh man, well, everybody has been crazy busy doing other things. Like I'm a music producer, and I'm currently starting work on a new Silver Suns pickup record that when I'm done doing press this morning, I'm going to be working with the band this afternoon. So we stay busy, but I think Garbage is still the most important artistic outlet, I think, for the four of us. And so we constantly, are talking about ideas for songs. And when we started No Gods, No Masters, I had no idea it was going to become sort of a social political statement. We did some sessions in Palm Springs, and I thought the music was going to be very sort of orchestral and beautiful sounding. But as Shirley was finishing her lyrics, the songs and the album, everything just got more sharp and intense sounding. And so now we're just focused on getting the record out, and fingers crossed, we're going to be doing some shows in North America in August and September. And we hope we're going to keep the tour going through 2022. We want to come down to Mexico and South America. And hopefully, it will be safe enough to do that. But it looks like we're moving in that direction, which is cool. Well, it's interesting. The first track that we released, The Men Who Rule the World, sounds quite different from No Gods, No Masters, which sounds quite different from Wolves. And when you get a chance to hear the whole record, maybe you have, Ricardo, it's quite eclectic sounding. Every song kind of has its own vibe sonically. And the thing that glues the record together is Shirley's singing and her lyrics. I mean, she has such a strong presence that it allowed us as a band musically to go all over the place and take some sonic detours. And I hope, I hope our fans, when they listen to the record on Friday when it comes out, that they listen all the way through, because we intended all these songs to sort of speak together. I'm old school. I still believe in making an album, making a body of work where the songs are connected somehow, and we feel like we did that with this album. So I hope that our fans will embrace it also and listen to the record all the way through. We were done with most of the basic tracking on March 15th of 2020, and the next day Los Angeles went into lockdown. There were still things we had to finish. Shirley had to finish some lyrics and some vocals. I had to finish some programming and do some editing, and there were a few bits of things that we wanted to put in there. The same with Duke and Steve. Under normal circumstances, we would have finished that in like 2 or 3 weeks, and we would have started mixing. But because we went into isolation, it just slowed the process down. And it made it hard in a way to sort of connect. And even though we're able to do file sharing, it's just so much easier when a band is in a room. When you're all sitting in a room, you just hear it and react to it and talk about it and make a decision. And so it just slowed the process down. But I think it also made the record more intense. Like the last couple songs that Shirley sang, just lyrically where she went, just kept pushing the envelope. And I felt, as I was finishing some of the tracks here in my studio, I kept trying to just push everything up higher, make them sound more chaotic in parts, and make them sound more intense in parts. And some of the songs I wanted to sound more fractured. And I think that was a response to being isolated. You can get quite in your head, when you're isolated like that. And so I hear that on the record. I think the 4 or 5 months it took us to finish No Gods during COVID, I can hear that sort of part of it is almost a claustrophobia in some of the songs. But I think it helped them. It actually made the record better. Well, I think the interesting thing about the record is that it's kind of a mutant cousin to our third album, Beautiful Garbage. And I think I touched on this. Every song kind of has a different vibe sonically. And for me personally, I mean, there's elements where I wanted to hear big rock guitars. But I you can't see it right here, but I have some modular synths. I've always been into synthesizers, and there's a lot of synthesizers blended in underneath the drums and the guitars on the record. In fact, the song "The Creeps" was written on a modular synth. It was slower, but the riff, the dee 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 dee, is a sequencer from like an ARP 2600, and then I ran it through like a stomp box pedal like this, and then sped it way up. And so it turned into more of a punk rock song, sort of an electro clash song. And then Duke and Steve put some guitars on it. And Shirley, when she heard the music, she wrote the lyrics in like 5 minutes and sang the track, and it was done. It happened so fast. And it's one of my favorite tracks on the record. So yeah, I mean, I have so many different influences that I bring into production with other bands or with Garbage. But in Garbage in particular, the playground is really wide open, where we can paint sonically what we want to do. And I love that about the band. Well, there's a couple songs I think that sound like classic Garbage, like Godhead, has the intro guitar, and that sort of reminds me of Number One Crush. Steve played this sort of ringy guitar, and the chorus has all these crazy guitars, and Duke and Steve have these backward guitars they put in. But I hear a lot of influences of things that we've done in the past. Like there are a lot of really interesting guitar parts that we came up with, not just power chords or melodic riffs. There's a lot of sort of weird little guitar parts on the record, and a lot of layering. I mean, that's something that we like to do, like take guitars and process them so they sound like keyboards. And then some of the keyboards we run through, like I said, through stomp box pedals to make them sound like guitars. So there's a lot of layering. We've done that in a lot of the Garbage albums. And there's sometimes we have to be careful that we don't put too much into songs. And there's a couple songs on No Gods, No Masters that are stripped back. And I think they sound good because of that. Uncomfortably Me is pretty spare sounding, heavy synths and a really fractured drum beat. Waiting for God to Show Up is pretty spare for the most part. And the last song on the record, The City Will Kill You, is very much like a film soundtrack. And so stylistically, I guess we're all over the place, but the glue that holds it together, that holds all the songs together, is Shirley Manson. Well, we're going to do some shows in August and September in the United States, mostly outdoor amphitheaters. We're still trying to see how each city and venue will deal with, COVID protocol to keep everybody safe. But fingers crossed that's going to happen. And we want to keep playing shows into next year. So I'm hoping in early 2022, we're going to make it down to Mexico. We are, some of our most intense fans are down there. We know how passionate they are, and every time we play down there, we just have an amazing time. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be down in Mexico in early 2022. Well, I'm somewhat of a Luddite. I do have a Twitter account and a Facebook and Instagram. I'm not that great at technically savvy with them. I know that sounds really stupid because I'm sitting in a studio and I know how to run everything in the studio, but I'm very lucky. My daughter, Bo, is 15 years old and she's a social network expert. So she's my assistant. Anytime I have to post something, I ask her, is this okay? Am I putting it in the right link in the right place or tagging someone? And she's into it. She's 15 years old, so she's smart at it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the Creeps, yeah. When you listen to the Creeps, that's going to make you want to headbang. Hey, this is Butch Vig from Garbage, and you're watching Headbanging. Bye-bye.